I think I had like 15 or 16 stops. It was like, I thought it was just normal though. You know, I was like, no big deal, right? And they're like, man, you should come back, right? So I had a good game, and I've just been doing it ever since. I think that was, let's see if this is 2004 was my first game.
2004, and you started.
So I really got in just from wrestling, you know.
Where did you start playing in 2004?
In Vancouver.
Yeah, okay.
I played, my very first match was with Prince George, and then the next week, and since then, ever after, I played with Richmond Kabaddi Club in Vancouver. And yeah, it's been good, man. I really enjoy it.
Do you enjoy playing the game?
Oh, of course, of course.
How do you make the comparison between kabaddi and wrestling? I mean, so far as technique and skill.
Well, the wrestling level that I was at was arguably a higher caliber of athleticism than what we do with kabaddi, just because I was training with people like, you know, Daniel Igali, who's a gold medalist in the Olympics, who also played kabaddi, and Ravi Sodhi ran deep. He was a national champ, and I was training at an elite level for wrestling, and that's really what helped me carry over into kabaddi so well. Is that I wasn't just fresh. I was prepared. I was in very good shape. You know, we train twice a day at a sport that's actually pretty similar. So the real tricky part was the team aspect, which I wasn't used to, because wrestling is just individual. You just worry about yourself. So learning to get along with people and deal with the team, that's kind of tricky at first, but you get used to it. And technical aspects that really were difficult from wrestling is the running. Like, I mean, I can run, but not after people. You know, like I was in wrestling. It's more of a football skill, exactly. So it was something.
Running wrestling.
Yeah, it was new to me completely. I had never done a running sport other than track, and that doesn't really count because you're just running by yourself.
That's right.
I did soccer a little bit, but it's never on the same level, you know.
Right, and it's been. Where are you originally from? I mean, are you from Seattle?
Originally,
Washington?
yeah.
Okay, and I understand you went to Simon Fraser University.
Yeah.
And is that where you met up with all these guys, or?
Yeah, because Simon Fraser University is the Olympic and National Training Center for Canadian wrestling. And so we had some of the top wrestlers in the world, and definitely the top wrestlers in Canada, training at Simon Fraser. So the university program, which I was a part of, trains together with the national team and with the junior world team, with the senior world team, and so everybody's training as like one club. You have Simon Fraser University, Douglas College, and the world guys, and so we all train together. So the training atmosphere is very elitist oriented and very high caliber. And so I don't know if that answers why I was wrestling up here in the first place, is because it's a great place to train. That's that's the reason I went to the school. The degree is useless, right? But the wrestling was awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot of the good wrestlers went to Simon Fraser. One of the things that we found that you've only been playing for a few years and you've had instant success in the game. Just much like Daniel Igali, who came to the game, wrestling. He just came in and he took it by storm. And there was another fellow who's a wrestler by the name of Owen.
Dawkins, I know him. I've wrestled him. I pinned him in a match.
And Owen was also someone who picked up the game. So it seems to me that there is a pretty good transfer of skills from a technical standpoint from wrestling to kabaddi.
Oh, of course.
So do you think a lot of these kids who are now in sort of the wrestling camps that are out in BC and in Toronto, who are also exposed to the Indo-Canadian community of playing kabaddi, do you think that they will make a transfer into this game?
Oh, I'm seeing it already. I'm not too familiar with the scene in Toronto, but in Vancouver, the Hargobind Wrestling Club and the Tulsa Wrestling Club, they have local kids born and raised in Canada that are wrestlers, and they're getting into kabaddi, and some of them are doing really well. I don't want to start name dropping and stuff, put pressure on me, but some of these local kids are getting into it, and I see the same thing actually happening in California. We've got some of the local kids in California. They're coming up, they train wrestling, they come over to kabaddi, and the transfer over is wonderful because it teaches you in wrestling a certain balance and stability on your feet that is something you really can't learn any other way. Like, you could do 1,000 years of kabaddi practice and it's like a shortcut to do wrestling for the balance and the foot stability and footwork that you get from just a few years of wrestling.
One of the things I wanted to ask you said that you were an individual athlete basically in track and also in wrestling, and then you had to make the transition to a team environment. You also probably had to make a cultural transition because you're dealing with some guys who don't even know how to speak English, for example, and they come right from India. How do you deal with the double whammy of not only being in a team environment, playing in a team, but a team that is also from an entirely different culture that doesn't have any sort of linguistic similarities with you. How did you deal with that sort of dynamic?
Well, I'd have to say it probably helps that it's a Sikh game, because Sikhs are monotheist, right? Yeah. So it's like less of a culture clash being Muslim, right? Because it's like, yeah, monotheism. We can leave it at that, and I've never had any problems on that front.
Yeah.
But really the biggest problem is the language barrier, and I've been trying my best to learn some of the, the field lingo. A lot of it's kind of dirty things you don't want to repeat on the camera, but it's yeah, you know what I'm talking about. But the language problem is there, but you get over it just by simplifying the messages. Okay. Like just make a basic plan. I go, you go. You fake, I go fake. Simple things. You simplify the message, and you have an attempt and an effort from all the members to get over it, and it works pretty good.
Yeah, it definitely has worked.
But I won't lie, I train with guys that speak English, and it's way easier. Yeah, it is a lot easier to be able to have more detail into the plans. But really, what we do is we just simplify the plan. Yeah.
Who's gonna go win?
Yeah,
that's true, and you've had great success with it so far. Even in last year's World Cup, I mean, the amount of stops that you put in the final, you became the best stopper, and that's a incredible success for a short period of time playing kabaddi. And I'm glad that you sort of mentioned that there are some difficulties, understanding the linguistic stuff. Are you taking any sort of classes, Punjabi classes to,
This is my Punjabi class, man. Yeah. I learn new words every day, man. Because I hear someone say something, I was, ask them, what does that mean? What does that mean? And for me, that's the easiest way to learn. Because it's more direct. Instead of getting words from a dictionary that I'll never use, I try to learn words that people actually say on a day-to-day basis, and then I can kind of pick up, and when you're talking about you, you'll hear them say things, and you're like, oh, this guy's talking shit about me, and you'll know. So,
speaking about rumors, there's a lot of rumors about Meek being half Punjabi and half African American, and so we wanted to give this opportunity for you to clarify.
Hey, man, I'm like a super mutt. I don't have any Indian heritage, but I've got black, Spanish, native, Irish, Basque, anything under the sun, except for India. I'm quite a mix.
For the record, for anybody who's thinking that Meek is half Punjabi, he's definitely not. A lot of people have put it on the post that you are. I don't know where they get this information.
Hey, man, I hear rumors about people, about even myself, and I have to really question who makes this stuff up, right? Because people come to me, they be like, "So you going back to Chicago?" I've never even been to Chicago in my life. And somehow someone established a rumor, was turned into fact in someone's head that I'm from Chicago or I'm from here, and people just make things up.
That's true.
And rumors, once you spread it down the chain, eventually someone's going to take it as fact. And I hear a lot of just blatantly incorrect information about not only myself, but my teammates, Ali. I hear people say things, and I read things about them, on the internet. I'm like, where do you guys get your information, man?
Well, you can't stop it. It's a rumor mill.
The most opinionated individuals, are the ones that have never played in their life.
That's true.
Those are the ones that want to give you advice on how to play. They want to tell you who the best players are. Right? They want to tell you who's on top and who's down. It's but they've never actually played.
Okay.
Which is hilarious.
It's a good point.
So some advice to you guys: if you want to talk, play first. Play. If I don't even know you, don't talk about us. What's the point? What do you get out of it? You just